Echoes of Japan. Why is the world so deeply captivated by this small island nation, where ancient traditions and a dazzling future exist in perfect harmony? Let's take a glimpse into its secrets.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We have a really fascinating mission today for you.
We really do.
Yeah, we are unpacking this massive compilation of foreigner accounts. So we're talking diaries, travel logs, expat reflections.
All the first-hand stuff.
Exactly. And they're all trying to decode this one thing, why the world is so utterly captivated by Japanese culture.
Right, because it's not just a passing interest, it's a global fascination.
It really is. And right out of the gate, we are bypassing the usual tourist cliches.
Oh, totally.
Like, we aren't here to marvel at the blazing neon of Shinjuku or, debate where to find the perfect plate of sushi.
Yeah, that's been done a million times.
Exactly. Instead, we are digging into a deeply nuanced breakdown of how outsiders actually experience the unseen underlying machinery of Japan.
I love that phrasing, the underlying machinery.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this, because reading through these accounts, you realize very quickly that visitors are, they're stumbling into a completely different sensory environment.
Right.
One that they really struggle to define at first.
What's fascinating here is that the compilation doesn't just catalog what people look at. It catalogs how the culture is physically felt, like through all five senses. It's an exploration of an entirely different rhythm of daily life.
A different rhythm, yeah.
Right. So when outsiders arrive, whether they are, students staying for a semester or workers relocating for a decade, they immediately hit this invisible wall.
Oh, the unspoken rules.
Exactly. Unspoken rules and this really specific ambient atmosphere. And to understand that rhythm, you first have to look at the physical layout of the country.
The actual geography of it.
Yeah, specifically how history and modern commercialism don't just exist in the same city, but they share the exact same property line.
Oh, yeah. You see this constantly in the diaries. Like people taking their very first walk through Kyoto or even hypermodern Tokyo.
Right.
They describe this jarring, yet somehow really peaceful experience. They're standing in front of this centuries-old weathered wooden shrine.
Right. Beautiful historical.
And right next door, literally inches away, is a brightly lit fluorescent convenience store.
It's such a wild contrast.
It is, because in almost any Western city, placing a glass and steel commercial box right against an ancient religious site would feel like a massive zoning failure.
Oh, totally. It would feel offensive.
Right, or at least like a really harsh clash of eras. Yet the overwhelming consensus from these foreign observers is that in Japan, tradition and modernity they harmonize effortlessly.
And the mechanism behind that harmony really comes down to how the culture actually interacts with faith.
Okay, how so?
Well, in many Western frameworks, religion is often this dominant, really vocal force. It demands attention, right?
Yeah, it's very front and center.
Exactly. It dictates absolute moral frameworks and requires this highly conscious, active participation. You are made constantly aware of its presence.
Right.
But what tourists and expats realize in Japan is that religion operates much more like an ingrained habit. It's an atmosphere.
An atmosphere, yeah.
Yeah, Shinto and Buddhism are woven so seamlessly into the mundane aspects of life that they kind of lose that heavy dogmatic weight.
It's like a smartphone's background operating system.
Oh, that's a really good way to put it.
Right. Just as your phone quietly clears its own cache in the background so the user interface doesn't freeze up, religion and tradition in Japan kind of act as a social OS.
Yeah, running quietly in the background.
Exactly. It hums along, organizing the societal structure, maintaining the calendar, clearing social friction. But it rarely sends you a loud, intrusive push notification.
There are push notifications,
Like
too.
you read about a businessman who will grab an iced coffee from the convenience store, take 2 steps over to the shrine, toss a coin, bow, clap, and then just seamlessly hop on the subway to his corporate job.
Yeah, it's just muscle memory.
Exactly. It's pure muscle memory.
And that muscle memory proves that the culture isn't, locked away behind museum glass. It is a highly utilitarian living practice.
Very much so.
Now, there is a recurring caveat in these travel logs, which is the friction caused by mass global tourism.
Oh, the touristification.
Yeah. A lot of these hyper-famous historical sites have been aggressively touristified. The tranquil, meditative atmosphere just gets obliterated by thousands of visitors holding selfie sticks.
Treating sacred ground like a theme park backdrop.
Exactly.
But even in the middle of that chaos, if you look past the tour groups, the locals are still doing their daily commute.
That's true.
They were still pausing to bow at the torii gate before dodging a family of tourists. The tradition survives the commercialization because it isn't precious about it. It's just, what you do on a Tuesday.
Right, it's just Tuesday. And that casual, everyday integration of culture is something a massive portion of these visitors were actually already primed for.
Oh, right. Long before they bought a plane ticket.
Exactly. For an enormous percentage of the global population, their very first genuine exposure to the texture of Japanese daily life comes entirely through screens.
Oh, we have to dive into the anime and manga pipeline here.
We really do.
Because these accounts highlight it over and over as the ultimate cultural gateway. But it's crucial for you to understand why.
It's not just about the stories.
Right. It's not just that the stories are entertaining. It is the agonizing, hyper-fixated level of environmental detail.
Oh, the backgrounds are incredible.
They operate on a level of realism that makes the viewer feel like they have physically walked the streets of Shibuya or, a quiet rural town in Hokkaido.
Yeah, the animators go to extraordinary lengths to capture the specific sensory details of mundane life.
Like the food.
Oh, especially the food. They animate the precise way steam curls off a bowl of ramen, or the exact mechanical movement of chopsticks lifting a piece of takoyaki.
That makes you so hungry.
It really does. But it's also the audio, the heavy, oppressive sound of summer cicadas, or the specific angle of afternoon light hitting a classroom desk.
Right.
It roots the foreign viewer entirely in the natural rhythm of the Japanese calendar. It builds this intense geographical nostalgia for a place they have never actually been.
And because the medium isn't shackled to that Western historical bias that, animation is just for children.
Right, the themes are huge.
The thematic scope is massive.
Yeah.
You have vast genres spanning hard sci-fi, complex historical dramas, and those grounded slice-of-life narratives.
Yeah, they tackle themes of heavy personal duty, the crushing weight of social responsibility, the nuance of quiet grief.
Exactly. It builds such a profound emotional tether that you have thousands of foreigners going on dedicated pilgrimages.
Traveling across the globe.
Just to stand on the exact, unremarkable set of suburban stairs featured in their favorite show.
Which is wild to think about.
It is. But here's where it gets really interesting, though, because these travel diaries outline a brutal reality check.
Oh, the reality check is severe.
Yeah, you have this massive influx of expats and students who learn their conversational Japanese by absorbing thousands of hours of anime.
Which is a very specific type of Japanese.
Right. Then they get to Tokyo, walk into a 7-Eleven and try to speak. And it creates an incredibly awkward, sometimes hilarious gap.
Well, because anime dialogue is fundamentally written for dramatic theatrical effect.
It's totally exaggerated.
Exactly. If an expat tries to ask for directions using the aggressive, hyper-masculine phrasing of a shonen protagonist, or, the exaggeratedly cute inflections of a slice-of-life character, the locals are going to completely freeze.
They wouldn't know what to do.
No, because the language is entirely decoupled from the rigid social hierarchy of real-world Japanese communication. It is either wildly too dramatic, offensively casual, or bizarrely archaic.
And the culture shock isn't just linguistic, right? It's atmospheric.
Yeah, how so?
Well, anime sets up this expectation of hyper-emotional screaming drama. The school festivals are massive world-ending events. The club activities are life-or-death struggles.
Right, everyone is always at an 11.
Exactly. People are constantly crying, shouting, dramatically confessing things on rooftops.
Yeah, very loud.
So when fans finally step off the train in real-life Japan, the sheer silence gives them whiplash. They arrive expecting the societal volume to be permanently cranked to a 10, and they discover that daily life actually operates at a strict 2.
A strict 2, yeah. And that profound drop in volume forces a totally different type of interaction.
It really does.
The realization that real Japanese society is deeply quiet and intensely routine leads outsiders directly into the most complex puzzle they have to solve.
The unspoken communication.
Exactly. Navigating a culture where the most important things are never actually said out loud.
Think about how a typical Western conversation flows. When there's a lull, an awkward silence, the immediate instinct is panic.
Oh, absolute panic. You have to fill the silence.
Right. You scramble to fill the void with words, any words, just to relieve the social tension.
Yeah.
The Western paradigm treats straight talking, filling the air, and blunt directness as ultimate virtues.
We demand people tell it like it is.
Exactly. But flipping through these expat accounts, you see them violently hitting the wall of Japanese ambiguity.
Because in Japan, extreme directness is frequently viewed as unrefined or even childish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not being entirely direct is actually a highly developed form of empathy. It is a way of preserving harmony and protecting the other person from the embarrassment of a blunt confrontation or a flat-out refusal.
The specific term that keeps popping up in these reflections is sesaru,
Right, Sesaru.
the ability to guess, to read the room, to intuitively sense what is happening without anyone verbalizing it.
It's treated as the absolute peak of cultural and emotional intelligence.
Yeah, you do not wait for someone to tell you they need something or that they are uncomfortable.
No, you have to observe.
You observe the microscopic shifts in their behavior, you sense the air in the room, and you anticipate the need before it ever becomes a spoken problem.
Which is deeply tied to the foundational concept of ma, or negative space.
I saw that brought up a lot.
Yeah, Westerners often view empty space, whether it's an empty corner in a room or a silence in a conversation, as a void that needs to be filled.
Right, a gap.
But Ma treats that space as structurally vital. Think of a piece of music, right? The rests between the notes aren't missing music, they are part of the composition.
That's a beautiful way to think about it.
It is. In a Japanese conversation, silence is an active participant. It is a space for consideration. Two people can share a silence and experience it as a moment of deep, mutual connection rather than a failure of dialogue.
And you see this play out perfectly in their concept of hospitality, omotenashi.
Oh, omotenashi is legendary.
The travel logs are just full of stories about foreigners visiting a traditional ryokan, and they are struck by the total absence of aggressive Western-style service.
No one is hovering.
Exactly. Nobody is hovering over the table, interrupting the meal every 5 minutes to ask, how is everything tasting? Can I fetch you more water?
Right, because that Western style of service places the burden on the guest to constantly evaluate and vocalize their experience.
Which is exhausting if you think about it.
It is. Omotenashi operates on the principle of unseen anticipation. The care is built into the meticulous presentation of the room, the timing of the courses based on your eating pace, the layout of the amenities.
Yeah, the host anticipates the friction and removes it silently, so the guest never has to ask. And I mean, I hear the undeniable beauty and elegance in that, but let's be real. I have to ask you, how comfortable are you with silence?
Oh, me personally. Not very.
Right, because if you are an expat who did not grow up natively reading this negative space, that invisible hospitality easily morphs into total terrifying isolation.
Oh, for sure. The culture shock there is huge.
The diaries of long-term residents are just full of intense frustration over this. If everyone is communicating in the negative space, you feel like you're constantly flying blind.
You don't get any verbal feedback.
Exactly. You never truly know where you stand with a colleague or a neighbor. You could be making a massive relationship-ending social faux pas, and no one will ever pull you aside and directly tell you to stop.
They'll just politely smile.
They will politely smile, and then you are quietly excluded from the group. That ambiguity can drive an outsider completely crazy.
It is a massive cognitive load.
Yeah.
Expats write endlessly about the exhaustion of constantly running that mental background OS, trying to decode the Sasuru of every single interaction.
It sounds so tiring.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, this exhausting, unspoken, shared understanding is the exact foundational bedrock that allows Japan's legendary public order to exist.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, you cannot have one without the other.
And that public order is basically the final boss of culture shock for these visitors. Because it isn't just a list of municipal laws that people grudgingly follow under threat of a fine.
No, it's way deeper than that.
Right, the order is described as a physical element, a shared air that everyone breathes.
Yeah.
And the physical manifestations of that shared air absolutely break the brains of foreigners.
It dictates the behavior of crowds on a scale that seems completely impossible to Western logic.
Like the trains. You read accounts of commuters packed shoulder to shoulder on a Tokyo train during rush hour.
Hundreds of people.
Hundreds of humans pressed against each other, and it is dead silent. Nobody is talking on their phone. Nobody is playing music out loud.
It's eerie if you aren't used to it.
And the trash. You have massive public parks and bustling city streets with virtually zero public trash cans.
Right, they removed most of them years ago.
Yet there is absolutely no litter on the ground. People just carry their sticky wrappers and empty bottles all the way home because the ambient social pressure dictates that you do not make your trash the public's problem.
The collective respect for shared resources is perhaps most famously documented in the reaction to the vending machines.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the vending machines.
They are everywhere.
Literally everywhere. dispensing everything from hot coffee to electronics, sitting out in the open on completely unlit rural street corners, or tucked into the darkest alleys of the city.
And they are never smashed.
Never. The glass is never broken. The money is never stolen. For someone coming from a major Western metropolis, the idea of an unattended box of cash and goods sitting on a sidewalk unvandalized feels like science fiction.
It's an environment built on an incredibly high baseline of societal trust.
Yeah.
And you see that same trust in the public infrastructure, particularly the washlets.
Oh, the high-tech toilets.
Yes. Foreigners dedicate entire chapters to the pristine, futuristic condition of public restrooms.
Which is funny, but true.
It is. The fact that high-tech, immaculately clean facilities are accessible to the general public and remain undefaced is a testament to the fact that the public views these spaces as an extension of their own home.
And we can't forget the punctuality of the transit system. That's another huge pillar of this order.
Oh, absolutely.
Trains don't just arrive on the hour. They arrive on the exact designated minute.
Right.
If a train is 60 seconds late, the conductor is apologizing profusely over the intercom. And the byproduct of all this intense order is unparalleled safety. The recurring theme in every single travelogue is the profound, almost overwhelming physical relief of being able to walk down a dark street at 2:00 a.m. without constantly checking your blind spots.
The threat level is basically zero.
The threat level is zero. But, and this is important, is a perfectly ordered society always a good thing?
That's the million-dollar question.
Because the sources pull absolutely no punches on the hidden psychological cost of this perfection. A perfectly ordered society is built on a foundation of intense, crushing peer pressure.
Right, because there's always a cost.
Yeah, that shared air of manners means you are always being watched by the collective. Outsiders write about the exhaustion of constantly policing their own micro-movements.
Like how they stand?
How they stand, how loud they breathe, how they fold their umbrella, just to ensure they don't ripple the water.
And that legendary train punctuality, it requires human beings to operate like flawless algorithms.
Which is impossible.
Exactly. The pressure on the transit workers, the salarymen, the students, to never cause a delay, to never be the reason the system stutters, it creates a relentless ambient societal anxiety.
There is zero margin for error in a machine this tightly calibrated.
None at all.
Furthermore, when you remove all the chaos, all the danger, and the unpredictability from a society, some long-term expats report hitting a wall of profound boredom.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They actually start to miss the messy, spontaneous, loudly confrontational nature of their home countries.
That makes sense in a way.
It does. The group harmony of Japan is an architectural marvel, but it's paid for with the currency of individual freedom.
Yeah.
You are a very small gear in a massive, well-oiled machine, and, gears are not encouraged to spin at their own pace.
It is the ultimate double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yet the consensus among these observers is that the trade-off creates a density of peace that is hard to replicate anywhere else on Earth.
A density of peace. I like that.
Yes, the individual is suppressed in favor of the collective, but the removal of ambient low-level danger and chaos provides a profound psychological stability.
Right.
For someone visiting, it acts as a cultural decompression chamber. They can completely lower their defensive shields and just absorb the environment.
So what does this all mean for us? When we aggregate all these diaries, essays, and exhausted expat reflections, it becomes crystal clear that the magnetic pull of Japan isn't physical.
No, it's not the physical stuff at all.
Right. It isn't the shrines sitting next to the convenience stores or the hyper-detailed anime food or even the futuristic toilets.
The real gravity of the culture is found in the negative space.
Yeah.
It's the ma. It is the shared silence on a crowded train, the unspoken consideration of a host anticipating your needs, and the heavy, invisible rules that keep a vending machine safe in the dark.
It's the invisible background music orchestrating the entire society.
That's beautifully said.
And you don't realize it's dictating your heartbeat until you leave the theater and suddenly the rest of the world feels aggressively loud.
Which is exactly why these visitors realize Japan isn't a destination you just visit and photograph.
No.
It is a complete recalibration of how you interact with the concept of community. It forces you to prioritize the harmony of the room over the volume of your own voice.
It makes you agonizingly aware of the space you take up.
It really does.
And that leaves us with a final thought to mull over today. If the deepest, most complex beauty of Japan lies entirely in its unspoken rules and its shared silences, what are the invisible cultural rules shaping your daily life right now? completely unnoticed?
So that's a great question.
Right. What is the background operating system running your society that you haven't questioned since you were born?
It definitely forces you to look at the shared air of your own hometown with entirely fresh eyes.
It absolutely does. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the unseen rhythms of Japan. We will catch you next time.
What is it about Japan that captivates you? Please let me know in the comments below. If this journey resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you so much for watching.